we go. It's time for another sprint zone. This one's for 10/25/2022, and it is for the second opening, at least for this event, of the new sprint zone, which eliminated the dangerous S corners that kind of limited the amount of time we spent actually going hard. Going up to the field here, we've got a really good turnout today. Lots of new people, and I would like to thank JC, that's John Kraft, for also providing his power numbers as he was a big player today. Coming into the corner, there's Byron, and Byron had been absent for a while. Glad to see that he's back. It'll be a good chance to see like where he's at. And we make the corner, and we see Justin is getting himself adjusted, and I make the call to have the group slow. He said, let him go or whatever, but I figure Justin is always a player in the end, not afraid to do work, and we don't want to have people that are not afraid to do work wasting his energy getting back to the group because it makes for a much more exciting time when the big men, the heads of state, are able to contribute. Rocketing up towards the group who's waiting for us. Little camera trick to make it look like I was going faster than I was. And we see Justin back there, and we make our way through the field. A strong field today. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of people have found this ride, and the group is getting stronger, which is a wonderful thing. Heading towards the front, and there's JC out there who was waiting for people. I'm making certain that the party is in fact started correctly. And I saw JC kind of up the road, so I'm like, we need to make certain things are happening. A little tap on the butt to Greg and Steve Highland that the game is now officially started. There's a little chatter between me and JC. He was asking, like, do we start early because the dangerous corner is gone? And I affirmed that his assumption was indeed correct. And it's go time. People strung out already, and I can look that there may have been some folks in the rear caught off guard. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the sprint zone. There's no time to be sleeping here. Heads up and no time for lethargy. JC up front, look at that big wattage. Upper threes, even 400 right before I turn the camera towards him. So we know it is definitely go time. I'm really anxious to see what the new corner looks like. I checked it out on the map, and it is quite a different reroute. Amazing that they did it this way. Kind of wondering why they didn't do it this way in the first place, but hey, hindsight is always 2020. Getting strung out there, JC pushing in the 300s, nowhere near his FTP, but it's definitely making people earnest here. Steve Highland, always a big player here, comfortably on my wheel. Greg looking strong up there in the upper positions. Greg's usually a little bit further back, but I think he's gotten to the point where he doesn't want to be caught behind those people who would be gapping him. And right now, in this group, there's not a lot of people that would cause gaps. Very impressive, very strong group. And now we're into the new section here. Look at the nice dark pavement as we enter the corners. There's no hill whatsoever. This is wonderful. I can't wait to take the motorcycle on this, although I must admit I might miss those corners, practicing the leaning stuff, but this should be fun. They see up front, and it's been almost a mile where he is the man driving this train. And I love the fact that there are folks out there like JC that are not afraid to put it out there. It's not a race, no one's paid money, but it's a chance to test how you do against your competitors and to see what they can do, how they react. Great practice, folks. Kind of like TTH, but we do this several times so you can drop your buddies over and over again, which is better. Oh, and here comes the pain train. It looks like it's being driven by James Stevens, followed by Justin Hack, followed by Steve Masted. Two, three strong people that are not afraid to put it out there, especially Mr. Stevens and Justin, and it keeps the tempo high. JC sliding in there nicely, and it is nice that Steve gave him respect and allowed him to slot in there. I'm certain JC was appreciative of that. I know I always am. I don't like slotting in as number two, but three or four back is there's goodness there. Steve Hyden looking really comfortable. Greg looking reasonably comfortable. Lots of people in tow. Dean in the mix. And now that I believe his triathlon season is over, he is free to fly and not under the auspices of his coach, who I don't think watches these things, but Dean had been pretty strict as far as his training plan and ended up doing lots of intervals in this and never was able to compete and be there in the selection. But today, that is not the case. Looking rearward once again, people still in tow, lots of people. And I'm looking at my power, and it's not easy. My heart rate looks kind of low, but I had the wrist heart rate monitor, and I said before, it's like totally off, but it does give a relative feeling of where I am. I'm guessing it's probably 25 beats low. Mr. Stevens coming off the front after a turn well done, slowly drifting through the pack. Looking at what's going on here, strongmen at the front, and it's Justin putting it down, it looks like. JC covering very nicely, and Steve slotting in there behind JC. And I wonder about him letting JC in earlier. Was that a tactic to become the gatekeeper to keep him from having to go to the front too early? I know I've like chastised Steve for being a wheel sucker, but today it looks like that is not the case. Maybe it was a case of confidence in previous weeks since he hadn't been out for a while, just wanted to make it to the finish. But now that he has tested himself, he's been weighed and measured, life is good. And what do we have here? Byron and John in tow. Byron, who had not been seen for a while, easily going to the front. And it can be dangerous. I don't know what Byron has after weeks of being off the bike, but I'm certain he's always going to be strong. Look at that JC into the 600 watts as I believe JC attacks off the front. It's really hard to see here, but there's lots of big men in tow. Tom, the new guy, very happy to be with us, and I'm happy that he's joined us. Dean's still with us. Greg's still with us. Mr. Stevens looks back to see if any damage was done then. And everyone is strung out. And I love the fact that there are not people just sitting on the big men all the way. And this would happen quite often when Matthew Michaels would go to the front. They thought there was no chance, and people would just sit on him and then swarm him lately. Oh, yeah, a good glimpse of JC up the road there. And if you guys aren't watching this on your big screen TVs, you need to be. The podcast was not designed for looking at on your little phone. But yeah, get yourself a Chromecast, take your YouTube, cast it to your TV, and you'll get quite the spectacle, and you can see more detail. That being said, JC up the road going hard, and the pack knows that JC is a dangerous man. With the exception of maybe Byron and James Stevens, they're probably the only people capable, and maybe Dean, running him down solo. But it's going to be a group effort to make certain that he is brought back into the field. I love the fact that he's attacked, keeping people honest. This is what the sprint zone is all about. Tends to hang it out there without the fear of getting dropped, because we will group later. Oh, and here we go up this little rise. You can see like JC's power up there 500 watts or so, wanting to make certain he is not brought back. But it looks like the hounds are too strong here. And it is Grupo Compacto. JC brought back into the field as he drifts back through the pack. A job well done, making for some excitement here. Look at his heart rate, into the 170s. I hope he doesn't mind me sharing that part of the telemetry. Lots of people are honest about that. I've had a couple of people decline me. Anyway, JC coming down through the field. Well done, sir. And there was a pat on the back earlier. Congratulations for effort well done. And as a surprise or not a surprise, Dean is here. And it is so cool. And the question has been answered, that life is good here, that he is able to enjoy the cycling, or especially at the end of the season. And I know Ben like sometimes looks at his trading and says, "I'm not going to go hard," and he goes hard anyhow. And I don't think that would be that much of a hit if you like violated your coach. Anyway, enough said about that. And Dean goes hard as gaps were beginning to open up here. And I would like to say that I got gapped off and would have been there, and I may have gotten gapped off, but I certainly would not have been there, at least not very long. And there looks like Jamie, the new woman, and Tom. I'm just, up to them. JC, who went back a little too far in the group, is forced to chase. Eric Larmar, also very strong, doesn't do much work at the front, but I'm certain that he could. He is definitely one of the stronger men in the group, but he rides very, very as a ghost, let's say. Anyway, I've pretty much shut it down, or at least I've tried to shut it down. 190, like 200 watts. Yeah, I'm pretty spent here. I'm certain that I'm on the rivet and I missed the jump. Not because I wasn't in contention, it's just I didn't have it. A good time was had by all. And if I was more, I don't know, motivated, I would have cut out the little paragraph that JC sent me about what actually happened up there, but you pretty much saw it there. But it would have been cool to have a little overlay, maybe when there's more time. Anyway, a good shot of Jamie and Tom there. Their first Tuesday, Friday ride, I think. At least the first time I've been there with them on Tuesdays and Fridays, and the first time making the selection in the film. Welcome aboard. Good to see you here. That was fun. I enjoyed that, or at least I enjoyed watching that. It was pretty painful coming back from vacation and only being on the bike once. And you do notice a bit of a difference. And I did run the day before, and that's going to be my excuse of the day. Although, given that I might be like just another, like 15 feet ahead of people. Anyway, there it looks like our winner, Byron, coming back. Yay! Big gap between him and looks like second place, Dean and others. Well done, everyone. Well done, and a good time was had by all. Special thanks to JC once again for giving us power and definitely animating this event. I loved that. Anyway, until next time, everybody, peace out.